Hey guys, Richard at Ride and Zoom here. Sorry for the bad picture quality, I'm not sure what it is, my phone today. This is my view for Series 2 of Game On. Re-finished it a few days ago, so I thought it was time to do my review. So yeah, spoilers for Series 1 and 2. I'll mention Series 1 in this, of course. Okay, so kind of what I touched on with Series 1, what I liked about this is it kind of had a long-running story arc for all the characters, and something that, compared to Bottom, which I'm watching at the minute, barring certain themes like how miserable the two of them are, nothing really carries over from series to series. Whereas with Game On, Series 1 didn't really do it, but Series 2 absolutely does. It's actually quite impressive, and the same will carry on Series 3 as well, although not so much for all the characters. I suppose it does, but anyway, yeah, Series 2, so ultimately 3 long-running plots. Martin actually gets a girlfriend and spends all his time with her and being as insufferable as you could imagine him being. Mandy decides to become celibate, like stay off men for like the whole series, and that runs for about 4 episodes. Same for Martin's storyline actually. And Matt, after Mandy realizes how much help Matt needs because he actually willingly makes her a cup of tea, albeit because Martin's not in the flat, but he still does it. She realizes he badly needs help, so she invites her friend Jason to get to know him. Jason's a therapist and he's also gay. Matt hates gay people, so they don't tell him that he's a therapist or that he's gay, but of course Jason ends up falling in love with Matt. And that storyline goes on about 4 episodes. And then after Series 5 and 6, kind of like the fallback on it, but not as much of a focus. But yeah, it's really well done, especially considering a lot of shows just didn't really do that long-running story arc, like cartoons, live action. So yeah, on to my dog. He's whinging away for no reason. So I've got to keep him up here while the floor gets cleaned downstairs. And now he wants the box set. No, boy. No. So yeah, on to the beginning. Episode 1, Roundheads and Cavaliers. Basically, yeah, I won't say what the episode titles mean. They're normally references to something in an episode. It's pretty funny. So also, this starts with the new Matt, Neil Stuke, who was apparently second choice in Series 1, but didn't get the job. Ben Chaplin quit doing this because he got some Hollywood roles. And yeah, I was saying before, I liked Series 2 Matt. He's kind of like the more vulnerable, less aggressive side of Series 1 Matt. I think Neil Stuke does it pretty well. It's great that it's not exactly the same as before, but be quiet. Sorry about that. But yeah, great that it's not the same as before. Yeah, he's taking the characters very different, which is a pretty good thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. So episode 1, Matt's trying to become a vampire, injures Martin in the process. Martin meets his nurse Claire, and he gets to do it with her, as he would put it. It's a good episode. The whole episode is basically Martin's terror at finally losing his virginity again, which you think is dumb to like plan it ahead, because there's episodes in Series 1, episode 1, Martin had that chance because it's all heat at the moment. There's no nerves, and there's this. It is in like panicking all the way through, and it kind of sucks, to be honest. It's just annoying to watch, but yeah, it's alright. You know, Claire's a fun character. Matt tries to seduce her and fails miserably because Claire just pummels him. Great fun. Yeah, Mandy decides to stay off men, wait till she meets Mr. Right, and then shag him with all these random men. So that's quite good. She ends up deciding to like do new things like yoga instead. And yeah, Matt, he's just pretty the same as ever, along with trying to become a vampire. So yeah, good episode, good series opener. And Series 2 is where it really all kicks off. Martin having, done it with a girl. He's like awful. He's just going on, and you just get out. No one really cares. So yeah, he's out now all the time with Claire, making up her lost time, as Matt will basically put it. Meaning Mandy has now stay in and hang out with Matt, like watching TV with him and stuff. She's not too keen on like having a wrestle or having a shag with Matt. Yeah, she gets Matt to open up about his like unhappiness at not being able to go out, and he admits he'd like to but can't. And yeah, when he willingly makes her the tea, she decides to get help from her friend Jason. Jason's got a fun character. He falls for Matt quite quickly, and Matt has no idea. And I swear they basically end up as a couple without Matt knowing it. It's pretty funny. Episode 3. Oh, sorry, that second one was Slime Surfers and Jizz and Monkeys, reference to when Jason gets Matt to open about his terror going outside. Jason comes too terrified to go out for the night as well. Yeah, good one. Episode 3. Double hard bastards and girly shirt lifting toss pieces. So Jason is hanging out with Matt all the time. He's actually convinces Matt to start going out, which is pretty cool. Matt to like go out in what he feels comfortable in, which is his like NFL gear and his surfboard. Some great moments when he's like bonding with nature and stuff. And yeah, him and Jason like finish like having a bit of a wrestle, and kind of look on Jason's face. It's perhaps not as innocent as you think, although who knows. I've always thought it was. It's just like their wrestling was perhaps a bit suspicious. I mean, there's a scene in the previous episode when they have a wrestle, take their clothes off and go to sleep and light candles. Very, very dodgy, but apparently it was innocent. So yeah, that's a good episode. Other plot is Martin getting jealous around other men around Claire, and of course Martin's just such a wimp. He just can't like accept that he's in the wrong, and it's like you just imagine what he's like. Yeah, it's so annoying, but at least he like Claire does clearly have words to him about his behaviour. And the other plot is that, and this is introduced in the previous episode actually, Mandy decides to learn Italian, and of course instantly gets the attention of this Italian teacher. She tells him how she's on sworn to celibacy. He doesn't understand it's like chastity. She tells him it's chastity. He thinks she's a virgin, which is of course hilarious because she's the least virginal person in the world. It's a pretty funny episode. In the end, the Italian teacher finds out the truth and ain't happy, calls him an impure woman, even though he's clearly an impure man. She like kicks him out by having to go at him in Italian, rather just telling him to clean up that stain or something. It's pretty funny. Episode that is probably my favourite one in the series actually. Episode 4, heavy bondage and custard creams. It's a bit of a sad one as well. Also in previous episode, Matt actually does go out by himself and unfortunately runs into a shop robbery and all his progress is completely undone. It's a bit of a shame really. Matt actually did willingly go outside, realise it wasn't that bad, and then found out the world is as violent as he thinks it was. So he's kind of back to the beginning, which is a bit of a shame. And episode 4 is kind of one which ends a lot of these plots. Mandy's old boyfriend Stoat shows up, having apparently like left the Navy and looking to catch up Mandy. Turns out that's all lies. He's been in prison the whole time, and is like managed to, of course, steal a suit from some ginger tosser, which was Martin. And the rest of the episode is really Mandy gives in to her like desire not to be celibate anymore, and sleeps with Stoat. He ties them all up holds them at gunpoint because like he's the third prisoner who escaped from prison. When he doesn't get any like shouted by his name in the news. Martin becomes convinced that Jason is just pretending to be gay so he can like seduce Claire. It's absolutely dumb. But it all comes out. Jason's feelings for Matt, and it's not too nice to watch. Matt is like not supportive whatsoever. He's just a complete dick. Sad that Jason's going, but he just won't like even be friends with him anymore. It's pretty real shame. And the other plot is Claire finally dumps Martin. She's realised Martin's just happy with his pretty boring life of just going to work, coming home to watch TV and drink tea, and she just wants to do a lot more, but he doesn't want to, so she leaves him. And Mandy's no longer celibate. She's realised that's not for her after all. So good episode. It ends pretty much all the 3 major plots, but in a kind of a sad way. At least Mandy's is full of humour that you feel bad for Jason and even Martin as well. Episode 5 is kind of back to the series 1 style of not really focusing on long-running plots. You got Martin's grief that Claire's left him. He's just miserable throughout the whole episode. Decides to join a suicide helpline and to stop people committing suicide. Of course, it's Martin's the last person you'd ever want. Abby, come here. Sorry about that. Dog's just getting as insufferable as Martin in those Game On episodes. So it's kind of back to stuff. Martin's just miserable and going on about Claire all the time. He decided to find meaning in his life by joining a suicide prevention helpline, and of course Matt quickly takes advantage of it. Great stuff. Matt, of course, is like, Martin knows he's miserable at Jason being gone, but Matt, of course, won't admit to it or anything, and he's like just his usual self. Well, Mandy's gone back to her old ways. She's trying to be a bit more hard to get. She meets her old tutor. He just, of course, tries to sleep with her. She actually rejects him, amazing enough, when she realizes he uses the same lines he did over like 5 years ago and leaves him. So Mandy is surprisingly hard to get for once. And she lines Martin up with a friend of hers who loves ginger men, because Martin is that invisible. She decides why not, and he rejects her because he's not over Claire. Some hope for the future, and of course Matt tries his chance with her and fails completely because he's, as she puts it, a 5-star dickhead. So a good episode, kind of back to like the standard stuff of like the first series where everything's not so connected. Good one. That was called Tangerine Candy Floss and Hernbay Rock. That was a very, very dodgy name for something Martin got told. Again, work out what it is. And episode 6, probably like just the funniest one of the whole series. Bruce Willis and Robert De Niro holding a fish. And he's got another new boyfriend who's a stand-up comic. Matt decides he wants to be a stand-up comic, but of course can't grab the flat, but he doesn't realize stuff of pretending to do stand-up to in front of a mirror. Pretty funny. Martin, of course, is like still miserable, but it's much funnier this time. He's just decided to start stalking Claire, trying to do anything to get her back. And it's pretty funny. It ends up him being trying to like stalk her at church, and that fails because she's caught onto his stalker patterns and changed her shift. He then like goes to a complete mental breakdown, puts a doctor's coat on, and starts trying to like desperately find her and to profess his love for her. It doesn't work. He even fakes having taken an overdose. All she does is just punch him very, very painfully in the eye because he's got this great bruise at the end. And it's part of Martin's suicide helpline, which, no, apologise, that was in this episode, not the previous one. Basically, Martin gives a woman his home number. When Martin's out stalking Claire, Matt takes the call, and of course, happy to say he's Martin because it's a girl. Fortunately, Matt finds out the woman's not in a good frame of mind, and she decides if Matt won't come around, she'll kill herself. Matt has to go out, and it's just very, very funny. He gets to the woman. She's safe and sound. Some of her friends have already come around, and Matt's basically wasted the journey. But the stuff he does when he goes out is great. He like in the episode he joins the band at the end of series 1. He's got no choice because it's his fault if this woman does kill herself. He's just great. Hugging the walls, desperately like hanging off a lamppost while waiting for the bus. And the funniest bit of all, he runs up to some old woman in like complete panic. I was clearly just trying to get help. She must think it's some sort of attack, and she just headbutts him. Really, really good stuff. And they all kind of all end up at the hospital at the same time. Matt in for his head injuries and like trauma, because much like Susan, he just passes out when he gets to the woman's house. And her ginger friend goes into the hospital, and Matt, who hates gingers and ginger students, falls in love with this ginger student. Great stuff. It's the same as the one where Claire is, while Martin is like having his breakdown. Mandy's in there because her boyfriend has been glassed at the comedy club because his impression of Bruce Willis holding a fish didn't go down well with Bruce Willis's cousin. And it's a good episode. Matt seems to be willing to go outside again, even though the worst things always happen. He seems, mainly because he's met a woman, he wants to like be out there more often. So it's a good ending. The only problem is series 3 kind of undoes it, which I guess it had to. But good series overall. I love that for like 4 episodes, each character's got their own long-running arc, and they still haven't been like completely forgotten either. So the dog was chasing his tail there for no reason. So good show. Better than series 1, definitely. I prefer Neil Stooke's portrayal, and it might be because I saw him playing Matt first before Ben Chaplin. I just think Ben Chaplin's Matt was always just a total psycho, where he's a bit kinder, but still quite aggressive, but probably not as much. I mean, there's a great bit as well when the original Matt just stamps him Ryan's foot, just throws him headfirst into the bed when he's planning to kick him out to replace him with a hot babe for a roommate fails. This Matt isn't quite that terrible. He's like close there, but good run. And next up will be series 3. That'll be a while off because I'm actually going away for a few days. And for some reason on the DVD, series 3, terrible picture I'm sure, but you can probably just about work out, it only says the episode number. Like episode 5 is just episode 5 when going by Wiki, Amazon listing, and I'm sure when I watched it on TV, episode 5, Laura. So I don't know why I did that. The episode titles are just as great as the first 2, but they're just not on there for some reason. But next up, Bottom, then Game On. Already halfway through Bottom Series 3, so that'll probably be up this sort of time next week, along with the other ones. But if you liked it, please like and subscribe. And sorry for the terrible picture quality. I think it's because I'm playing in the daytime. It's quite sunny and the lights have clashed quite badly. Works on out eventually if this channel really takes off. But thanks for your time, and I'll see you next time.